March 2003, Iraq was attacked and a war began that lasted for about 8 years. During this time, more than 85,000 innocent people were killed. On September 11, 2001, when the World Trade Center was attacked, the US began airstrikes on Afghanistan, and this war lasted for 20 years. Then, in 2022, the Russia-Ukraine war began, in which 200,000 people have already lost their lives. But the war is still ongoing, while these wars brings nothing but only destruction. But on the other hand, there is one nation that makes billions of dollars from wars like these. Have you ever thought about why these wars even happen? Why do they not consider the people affected? Well, wars happen for 3 reasons. Firstly, because of resources. In 1931, Japan attacked Manchuria and successfully occupied their territories. The reason was to extract important resources that were available there, such as oil, copper, steel, and iron. Secondly, because of geopolitical dominance. In the years leading up to the war, several countries, including Germany, Japan, and Italy, began aggressively expanding their territories and influence. Germany, under the leadership of Adolf Hitler, sought to create a vast empire in Europe and annex Austria, Czechoslovakia, and parts of Poland. Japan, meanwhile, sought to expand its empire in Asia and the Pacific. These expansionist policies ultimately led to a confrontation between these countries and the powers that opposed them, including the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union. And thirdly, because of political influence in the nation. Have you heard of the war named Mussolini? The leader of East Africa started a war in Eritrea because he wanted to create influence among his country's people. And when he won the war, he received more votes in the elections. Now the question is, if these wars bring nothing to innocent people except destruction and deaths, then do they happen only for resources, dominance, and influence? To understand why, let's first try to understand the basics of the war model. A war is a business, and the simple rule of a business is that it should definitely create value for its stakeholders. But do wars also have stakeholders? Yes. The first stakeholders are the fighting opponents. These are the countries that fight for resources, dominance, and influence. The second stakeholders are the supporting allies. These are the countries that are not directly involved in the war, but indirectly help one country by providing food, financial and military advice, and even medical facilities. And lastly, the third stakeholders are the pushers. These are the ones who decide the duration of a war by providing weapons, ammunition, and generators. But now the real question is, how does America benefit from every war that happens in the world? During war times, many American companies involved in the defense and military industry received significant contracts from the government to supply arms, ammunition, communication devices, transportations, and equipment to the troops, leading to an increase in their revenues and profits. These companies are Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon Technologies, General Dynamics, and Northrop Grumman. They are among the largest defense contractors in the United States and often see their profits increase during times of war. However, it is not only the defense industry that can profit from war. During World War II, for example, many American companies that were not directly involved in the war effort also saw their profits increase due to the high demand for their products. Companies that produce goods such as steel, rubber, and oil saw a surge in demand for their products as the war effort required large amounts of these materials. It's also important to note that the United States government also incurs significant expenses as a result of war. The cost of deploying troops, building and maintaining military bases, and providing veterans benefits can be substantial. For example, according to a study by the Watson Institute for International and Public Affairs, the total cost of the war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and other operations in the Greater Middle East could eventually reach as much as $6 trillion when considering factors such as long-term medical care and disability compensation for service members, veterans and families, military replenishment, and social and economic costs. And lastly, India, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Australia, and South Korea are largest arm importers in the world, which accounts for 36% of global market. And on the other hand, US, Russia, France, Germany, and China. These countries are the world's largest arm exporters, which contributes nearly 76% arms exports in the world. So, you see countries which have exceptional military intelligence, defense constructive capabilities, and has access to immense amount of capital. We'll be making tons of money from every war that is happening in the world. That's all from my side, guys. If you learned something valuable, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button.